Hello and welcome to another of our interviews with the Board of Education candidates. Steve Priestley of Hamlin is a former teacher, coach and principal. He's married to Michelle, also a lifelong educator. Steve is also a former Assistant Superintendent of Schools in Lincoln County, a former Superintendent of Schools in the county, and a former West Virginia Department of Education Administrator. He is a current Lincoln County Board of Education board member. Steve Priestley, welcome.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here today.
Thank you. Our first question. The Lincoln County Board of Education is about midway through the process of regaining full control from the State Board of Education. What should the local board's main priorities be when full control is restored?
Well, I'm certainly glad that we've reached that point. After so many years of state control, I think it's imperative that we do have local control. I think in order for our citizens to have input into their system, they need to know that they have people they can come and speak to on a local basis. So I'm glad we've reached that point. But I think in regard to your question, we need strong leadership. Whatever we're doing there, we have to make sure, and I guess that would begin with the selection of our superintendent, that we have to make sure that our superintendent is a strong leader and is one that can have a good administrative team working with them. And from there to be able to develop the programs and all, and relying on those administrators to do that. So I think that would be my primary concern there. As far as our other priorities, I think what I'd like to see us do is monitor closely the deficiencies that we've had in the past, those things that caused the state to come in here in the first place, and make sure that we're addressing those needs so that we don't have a reoccurrence of any state control returning here in our county. So we monitor those. In addition, any of the issues that have come up since that time. You know, it's been 10 years, so a lot of new factors have come along. We need to be monitoring our graduation rates, our test scores, and all those things are related to that to make sure that we're addressing the student needs in our county. So I'd say that's our primary focus at this time.
Now, in recent days, lettering was finally put in place on the new sign at Lincoln County High School. As reported in the Lincoln Journal last year, according to an agreement between the board and the contractor, the date for completion of the entire work was given as August 15th, 2009. The contract sum given for the project was $34,200. Does the sign represent good value for the taxpayers of Lincoln County?
My answer to that would be no. Of course, I wasn't involved in the initial deliberations and discussions involving that sign, but I know just recently I was out in that vicinity and noticed that the lettering and all being placed on it. My initial reaction was, you know, I can't hardly read what it says. I'm not even sure that it says Lincoln County High School on there. So although I wasn't involved in it and don't know really what the expectations were at first, it's disappointing to me that much money was spent for the outcome we've gotten there. It just doesn't. I'd hope for something that would be eye-catching for everyone who came by, and it would really kind of focus on the school and be something that would draw us to it. But it's not that at all. I think it could be much better.
Okay. Our third question. The newly constituted board will meet for the first time in early July, with at least one new member and as many as 3 new members taking their seats. Among the board's first actions will be the election of a board president and vice president for 2-year terms. What qualities would you look for in a board president?
Well, I think, first of all, I think the board president should be one that can work in a cooperative manner with all the other board members. I think it needs to be somebody, because I think it's something we must do. We need to be unified in our focus for what we're doing here, whether it be obviously for our children first, involvement in parents and our teachers and our staff. So it has to be somebody that can work in a cooperative way with all the other board members towards those goals. I think it needs to be someone that is somewhat loquacious, that doesn't mind speaking out and speaking in public, someone who is available more than just during important meeting time. I think that the person needs to be available for all the activities that may go in conjunction with that, because many things occur outside of board meetings, whether it be meetings throughout the state, at conferences or whatever, or just activities at schools that may occur. So I'd like to see someone that has those attributes. But once again, somebody who can get along with everyone else, and I think I'm hopeful that regardless of who may be on our board, I think we can do that. I think that everyone the candidates we have and our existing board members, we all have the same goals in mind when it gets right down to it. You know, we're here for children, and I think that that's what we're after, and our leader, or leaders in this case, would both be unified towards that effort.
Okay. Can you outline your views on the Learning Focused initiative in the county?
Well, I know there's a lot of controversy involving Learning Focus. I'm not totally familiar with that curricular program. When I retired from my principalship, we had in place at our school at Griffithsville Elementary at the time a different reading program, and one that you know, was quite successful. So I was somewhat shocked when I read in the newspaper that the county had gone to another program. And that's sometimes something that concerns me a little bit, not necessarily critical of this program, but that we jump around and go to too many programs. But anyway, in this particular one, I'm not familiar with all the, you know, the ingredients that are involved here, but I do know some of the criticisms, and I've heard it many, many times about the excessive paperwork that's involved that bothers me. Having been in that myself, and my wife having been an English teacher, I know the many hours that, you know, one spends around the kitchen table at night going to work after you've worked all day. So I hear that and certainly have concerns there. Another concern I have with the program itself, and I don't mean to be critical of it because I'm really not familiar enough, you know, that what its positives may outweigh the negatives, but the excessive time that teachers seem to be out of the classroom. I've always been one that felt that the teacher's best time could be spent in the classroom. And I know there's a lot of in-service staff development training that's taking place, and that's drawing teachers out of the room and requiring the use of substitutes, which aren't always you know, really what we'd like to see on those days. So those things bother me. If the program is warranted and what we want, I'd like us to do something regarding those things, whether we do some of the staff development training outside the regular employment term, whether it be before or after the school term, on Saturdays or something, because I am concerned about excessive time out of the classroom, and once again the excessive time that teachers seem to be using for the program, because it obviously has its merits, but I think we just have to make sure that there aren't negatives that outweigh the positives.